Dude, my wife almost got me.
My wife.
So she just listened to the podcast this morning.
Really?
For the first time. Well, first of all, I'm going to be out of town June 10th to the 14th. I'm going to be in Georgia to this tech conference. So when I said, hey, there's a golf tournament on the 9th, she looked at me like, okay, so you're going to be gone for 10th to the 14th. And the day before you're going to leave, you're gonna go play a golf tournament.
That went over good, huh?
Yeah, it was tough. So I was telling her, okay, I don't play golf that much. I don't play golf that much because
you have 6 kids.
I have 6 kids and I don't play golf that much. But you know how you are and I am. It's like, I'm going to play golf. I should probably play golf before I play golf.
You have to, or you're shanking everything.
It's like you have to play golf before you play golf, or then you're going to have to play golf again, because the first time you play golf, you're like, oh, dude, I've got it figured out. So you got to go prove to yourself that you got it figured out. So my wife's birthday is on June 4th. Okay, so next Wednesday. So we're on a date Wednesday night, which was my anniversary.
No, cool.
So, or not Wednesday night, Sunday night we're on a date. Sunday was our anniversary. And we're driving and I'm like, you know what? I'd kind of like to maybe go play this course like before the tournament, or like, this or that. And she looked at me and she said, you know what? You should. We're open. You should go on a Wednesday. Next Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat there. And first of all, whenever I say to my wife, hey, I think I should go play golf, she has never said to me, I think you should go on this day. She never is like, hey, do it on this day.
Yeah.
That's never happened.
Did you pick up that it was her birthday?
So I sat there in the car for a second and I'm like, I was doing the math.
Wait, did you agree no, okay, I will go this day?
No,
okay.
I figured it out. I did not fall into her trap. Good. I said, that's hilarious. Yeah. I'm not going on your birthday. And I avoided a catastrophe. I thought it was funny. And in hindsight, I was like, babe, I'm really glad you did that, because 1, I won. And 2, it was funny. I do believe that in marriage, if somebody wins, you both lose. That is a principle that me and my wife live by. If someone has to win, then we're really both lose. But we're not going to dive into that kind of deep topic.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't. Our wives are watching this, so.
All right.
Let's
we ready?
Yep.
Welcome back. This is the Industry Bros. And man, today we have our first interview, and it's a good one.
Yeah.
So we got the opportunity to bring on my previous employer, your current employer still, John Honey and Josh Holbert, 2 men that have been really influential in our lives, not only giving us our first opportunity in the industry, but man, really blessed us as individuals and our families. So really awesome interview. If you are a business owner, a manager, man, you need to listen to this interview, because I'll tell you what, these guys, they get down kind of the brass tacks of like how they run their business. And it may not be like what you think. It's a lot about how you treat people and your values. And man, it's really valuable. And if you're not a construction owner or a manager, it's really just great advice for life.
Yeah, it really is. So John and Josh are great people, great men of integrity, just really awesome guys. And for me personally, them 2, as well as Garrett, big influencers on my life. Was not always a believer, and just noticed from the front end of their company, you guys do things different and you follow the Lord. And so it took me a while, but I started going to church and I became a believer. And so for me, that's huge. They let me know, hey, God first, construction, second or third, wherever it is in line. Now my kids are going to church, and it's really changed the trajectory of their lives. Yeah. So me and my wife, we're just super thankful for John and Josh, Garrett here, just doing things different and being kingdom-minded.
And we'll get into that shortly. But Dustin, how you been?
I just got back from a camping trip.
Glamping trip, right?
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that, camping is in a tent.
Sure, I guess,
but
if you want.
Tell us about your glamping trip.
Yeah, my daughter turned 8, and we go to this water park. It's kind of like Jellystone. It's called Fimfo. It's really new in Waco. And when pulling a camper, where my construction background helps is you have to be handy if you're going to own a camper or just have a lot of money and pay someone to fix it.
Right.
Because I had a laundry list of things to fix and all the tools, in my storage. And so as a dad, it's not as fun for me, but it was great. We're not just sitting in the camper the whole time, right? It's just nice when it's freaking hot in Texas and you're able to go in there and kind of cool off, knock the edge off, chasing kids around and getting ready. Summer's here.
Where we live, there is no spring really. It goes from, I guess, winter, which is like 60s.
To 100.
To 100 pretty much. I mean, there's a few weeks in there and you're like, oh, is it going to happen? Nope.
We had a little bit of spring.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a little bit of spring where it's, it gets in the 80s during the day. But since we recorded last, I stayed at my sister and brother-in-law's house and watched their kids while they were on a trip.
That's a lot of kids with yours.
So I did take my 6 kids, and then they have 4 kids. So we did have 10 kids. And I will say, I do not want 10 kids. If that's God's plan for my life, all right. But I'm not going to choose it willingly per se. But we had a really great time, and their kids are older. So we had a 16-year-old, 13-year-old, 12-year-old.
All the way down to
1-year-old. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So I did that for 2 weeks straight.
Wow.
Almost. It was like 13 days.
And were you working at the same time?
Yeah, I was working. Just working remote up there. But
so there were times where your wife was watching all of them?
Oh, yeah. Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Just like lock the doors. Do not go outside. That's what I would do.
I'm excited for you guys to hear this interview. Before we dive into the interview, I do want to remind you, this podcast, it is brought to you and powered by TimberSite. TimberSite is a construction management platform that helps you run jobs smoother, faster, and hopefully with less hassle. With TimberSite, you can manage your time tracking, your estimates, change orders, job scheduling, really all the things in one place. So there's no more bouncing between all these different spreadsheets that you've created to try to run your company. Everything's in one place. So TimberSite keeps it centralized. It's built really for general contractors, trade contractors, anyone in the construction industry who wants to simplify their project management. Go to timbersite.net, check it out, see if it's right for you, schedule a demo. And man, I'd love to talk to you about it and see if it's a right fit for you. So thank you, TimberSite. And without further ado, we'll jump into the interview. Well, John, Josh, thank you guys for joining us. Excited to have y'all here. And yeah, excited to hear your story. So as we get going, tell us a little about yourself.
43, been here my whole life. Got 4 kids, beautiful wife.
Living the dream.
Yeah, absolutely.
My name's Josh. I'm born and raised here in San Angelo. I've got 3 kids. Been married for 21-ish years, somewhere in there.
So if you listen to episode, 0, Dustin and I both got to tell our stories, and these 2 men are huge parts of it. So both of them giving us our first opportunity in the industry, and really not only have they blessed us as professionally, but also just as men, as husbands, and just as people. So we're thankful for that. But yeah, we're going to hear y'all's story. Our goal of the show is really, we want to provide value for other construction owners and managers that are in the industry. So I think y'all's story can provide a lot of that value. I think we want to hear things that you guys have learned from the very beginning to the end, new things that y'all want to try, and just everything in between. So yeah, I'm excited to dive in.
Yeah. Before we dig into all that, if you listen to episode 1,
0.
Thank you.
Not sure why.
He's always helping me out. Episode 0, you heard kind of my story and the hiring process with these guys and giving me a chance, taking a chance on me. Super thankful. But in that episode, I talk about the hiring process. So I want to put you on the spot. You guys were supposed to buy me lunch that day, and you did not buy me lunch. So I went back to the dorm room and was hungry. So
probably had some ramen.
What was y'all's thoughts there? Just curious.
I really didn't buy her lunch.
You didn't? No. You said, "Hey, I'll meet you at this barbecue place. We're going to interview you. We're gonna eat and interview you.
So-
I show up, you guys are walking out, and you interview me in the parking lot.
So to be completely honest with that story, which is a little embarrassing now, and we would never do this now, but talk about mistakes over the years. But our thought was, if this bombs, we don't want to have to sit there through lunch,
Right.
with nothing to say.
Fair enough. This random guy.
But in hindsight, I guess we should have picked somewhere that wasn't a food place, because that was pretty dumb. We
It's all good.
apologize officially.
It's okay.
I have bought your
we've-
lunch like a couple thousand times.
Yeah, we've made
Yeah.
we've made up
It
for
worked
it.
out.
Yeah.
It worked out.
I accept y'all's apology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Cool.
glad that's behind us now.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Good.
That was almost 12 years ago, and so now I can put it behind.
Water
There you
under
go.
the bridge.
Yep.
All right.
Cool. Well, yeah, you guys tell us your story, when you guys started Northstar, and what's the start?
Started in 2010. We used to travel in a worship band together, and turns out that was over with, and God moved us to different things, and we didn't really know what. We thought we wanted to start a car lot. So, but it turned out you have to have some pretty good money to do that.
Yeah.
So we did the only other thing that we kind of thought we could do, which was this, with a pickup, all my dad's tools, and a trailer that we could barely afford at the time. And
Your dad's tools?
yeah, every one of them. Every last one of them. Did that, and I don't know how far you want me to go with that now, but yeah, it was, it's been quite a journey since then,
Yeah.
for sure.
Were you guys like always handy before? Is that, or you just kind of knew people always need construction work done, remodeling?
I would say
what was
like
the thought
shade
there?
tree mechanic level handy,
Eh.
pretty shady handy. But we had a lot of people that we knew, thankfully, from church and days traveling in the worship band, that they were willing to risk their hard-earned money on us to give it a shot.
Yeah.
So,
Well-
but I did work for construction companies like when I was younger, and kept my eyes open, learned some things. So
Yeah.
some good men that taught some good lessons back then that carried forward.
For sure. Josh, were you in the industry before?
I did cabinets for several years before that. Learned a ton doing that, and just figuring it out, kind of figuring it out as we went. And we had always helped people do construction stuff.
Right.
Kind of just learned it through the years.
Well, I really want to know how you guys started Northstar. It was just you guys. And then like kind of what was your journey as far as like adding employees, scaling your company, and just kind of talk to me about that. Like what are some key milestones in y'all's company of like, we started in 2010 and then we kind of got to this level and then to this level, and kind of some lessons you learned in between.
Yeah, I feel like there was never really, we always talked about, well, first of all, we never thought that we would have as many employees as we have. I mean, that was never in my mind.
Because it was
And-
just you two.
It was just us two, and really, even to this day, we always just hired out of need. We never really said, "Oh, let's try to grow this company." It's kind of been the reverse. It's been, we're drowning, we need help.
Right.
And so when we first started, there was, we'd have a week's worth of work, and then somebody else would call, and we'd have maybe 2 weeks worth of work. And then whenever it got to where we were we needed help. John, at that time, John was trying to do the bids, and I was trying to we were both doing the work, but John needed to step more into doing bids and talking to customers. And so, eventually we hired a couple of people, one of those people being you.
Yeah.
So we were just not, I wouldn't say we were drowning at that point, but we definitely just hired out of need.
And early on, was it you guys did as much as y'all could and then subbed some things out? Did y'all start to learn some subcontractors you trusted, or you guys just tackled it all?
Yeah, we probably did more than we should have, and then just to keep busy and learn some lessons there. And then we didn't really know what it was even to sub things out, I guess.
Right.
Other than just like the things you obviously couldn't do, like your MEPs and things.
Right.
But I just subcontract out of necessity, and then try to keep busy with all the rest of it in between. And certainly watched a few YouTube videos underneath houses to figure out things and as we went. And, but yeah, I think we realized fairly quickly that we probably weren't going to be able to sustain doing the physical labor end of it at a high level or rather we didn't really want to have to do that our whole lives.
Yeah.
People can sustain it. The men that work for us are fantastic in the field, really, really great. But my vision for it was more at 1,000 foot from the beginning. So I didn't really think it'd go this far, just where the Lord took it, honestly. But yeah, so we hired as we needed and tried to position it in a way that we could ultimately find a way to stay off our hands and knees as we get older.
Right.
All that happened a whole lot quicker than I wanted or expected it to, or even needed it to. But, it's where the Lord took it.
Yeah. Well, and I think probably a lot of construction owners can like relate, or maybe are where you guys used to be at as far as like, all right, like what direction do I want my company to go, and making some of those decisions. Because some owners, they don't want to give up the work because that's what they love. They love doing the work, and maybe they don't want to scale. But I would imagine everyone kind of has that desire to scale to a place where they can replace themselves with people. And I think that that's something that you guys have done pretty well, is kind of a culture of like, let me teach and raise this person up to eventually where they're doing what I'm doing, and then I can go do something that's going to allow our company to grow and scale in a way. So just from my memory, but I want to hear it from y'all's, I do feel like there were some milestones to where you eventually got out of maybe your first location, which I know was your parents' house, where you guys were just starting out, and then you kind of moved into a different location and kind of scaled. And like, what was that process like? Did you guys have a moment where you were like, okay, our schedule's 6 months out, and I think we have an opportunity here to grow and make kind of another step? What was that process like?
I think it's a lot of, for me, was driven. I mean, at the foundation of it, like, we really wanted to hire people to replace the things we were doing, or I did, just primarily because coming off the road doing the band thing, traveling so much, I really had like a desire to be more home and be with my family.
Right.
And I'd already missed a good number of years with some of my kiddos. And with that, like, just having to accept the fact that like, you can, many do, the bidding, the work, the invoicing, every bit of it from the recliner till 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I did that for the first good while, but I did not want or have a desire to sustain that. And I had a strong desire rather to move on from that and be with my family and be present and be home.
Yeah.
That just meant I was going to have to be willing to delegate work out and trust people to do their job and do it well, and not micromanage them. And so some of that was like the foundation of why we were willing to try to hire people and expand it.
Yeah.
Kind of laughing about the whole way we interviewed you. Like,
yeah,
I don't think we really so much wanted to move to a quote unquote office out of necessity so much as it was like we looked ridiculous. Tried to office out of my parents' house, which we're thankful for, a lot of free food and stuff. But that's just pretty janky, and I mean that sets your bar pretty low.
Yeah,
so,
right. Yeah.
You start having conversations with customers, and it's like, I'll meet you at Dickie's barbecue. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, on a personal level, it's kind of cool to see where y'all's company where it started and where it is now. Because, I mean, Josh, you would pick me up from ASU sometimes. I was going to college, and I'd get out of class, and you'd pick me up. You were in the field at the moment, but you were on your way out. And we go, do some carpentry work at someone's house. And then to see how it's grown over the years, where now it's 40-plus employees. Just, you have all these people in place to do all those things. That way, like you said, you can kind of look at it from 1,000 feet away. Just really manage all those things and look at the bigger picture rather than doing all the individual roles, staying up late.
Yeah. I think it does bring up something I want to talk about, is just like structure, how y'all have grown from one employee to 40 plus, as Dustin mentioned. Like, what are some key roles that you guys have implemented, let's say, from when it was just you guys? Y'all were doing everything. Y'all were doing the management of all the jobs, the accounting, everything, to where like, what are some key roles that you guys have put in place that you think were like absolutely vital to taking the next step or scaling to the next level?
Well, I mean, as we did each step of the overall job, I mean, doing the invoicing, the estimating, every single aspect of it, you learn pretty quickly that all those are important.
Yeah.
And I mean, to that point, it's hard for me to assign, like, to play the hierarchy game. And I think y'all probably know that.
Yeah.
Like, I think that people feed off of that. They enjoy the idea of they've made it to a next level. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. Just personally, that's a hard one for me in my position, because I see literally every position as vital, like as very, very important. Because as Josh was saying, like, we hired out of necessity. So we felt a need at that point. But it's not like that need just vanishes. Obviously, like, position Dustin's in with estimating is critical. I mean, if he does his work wrong, then it kind of sets us up to be in a lot of trouble down the road. Jimmy, our production manager, he's incredible. He strikes a great balance of loving on our guys in the field and leading with a strong hand when he needs to. And without those positions, quite honestly, like, that's everything right there. That's so critical to get that right. Jimmy does all the hiring and employee management of the field crews and hiring the right guys. Like, I mean, that's something that honestly he's way better at than I was as far as the actual field crews go. So I'm grateful for that. Like, even though that's something I've done at one point, like, it's something that we've hired Jimmy, and he's even better at that than I ever thought about being. So, yeah.
That's awesome when you can honestly humble yourself to the level of like, hey, let me hand this off to somebody else. And when they just knock it out of the park way better than you could ever dream or imagine, just because it's maybe they're more suited with their strengths and talents to do that.
And I think honestly, not just to like blow smoke, but like, you guys were better at writing estimates than I ever was. And it comes to a point where you can do it well, but you can't do everything well. So, like, if I'm going to stay at 1,000 foot and with Josh and kind of lead a company, I can't be stuck on one specific thing and do it incredibly well.
Right.
So I may have an idea of how to do that and give a little direction, and certainly maintain some principles and business principles or whatnot of how we will and will not do things. But the actual execution of it, it's way better to like put someone in place who can focus on that and do a really good job at it. So if you're not willing to delegate the work out, then like you're just setting yourself up for failure for sure.
Yeah, and that allows you to kind of hop from department to department, just kind of check in, make sure it's all running well and as it should.
Mm-hmm.
How much would you guys say, like, when you make a decision like that, there's some fear to overcome? Because there is some investment. You're like, all right, I'm going to have to invest some money or salary to this person, just hoping that it's going to pay off, giving you the ability to have focus and giving that the ability to, I mean, have you guys experienced just kind of like fear in that, or just like, all right, we're going to dive in?
I think that's probably the question that I get more than any other question is from people who do kind of the same stuff we do is, how do I know when to hire? How do I know, should I be letting somebody do my taxes? Should I be doing, I mean, just every question as far as that goes. And it's, for us, every time it's a decision that we make, and it's a risk, and it's just, can this make us more efficient at what we're doing? Can we be more professional in this way? Are we willing to take this risk? And the answer has always been, let's take the risk. But in a lot of times we've had to backtrack. We've had to, where we might have had 4 or 5 project managers, we might have gone down to 2 or gone back to 3, or it's kind of just trial and error. And we usually try to hire the right guys, and it's just always taking the risk. Never know for sure if you're going to be able to sustain the amount of guys that we have, or so we just take it a day at a time.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure. And something that I wanted to ask also was just about like y'all's brand. So I think it's something both of y'all think a lot about, I think, especially in the beginning, was like, how are we going to be perceived by others? Which I think a lot of maybe smaller construction companies don't think about that in the beginning. Maybe they're just like, you know what, I'm just going to get in there and do the work. But I do think y'all did a really good job of like thinking forward of like, all right, how are we going to be perceived and how are we going to present ourselves to the public? And like, what are y'all's thoughts on that? And how do you think that y'all's brand that y'all have created has contributed to growth?
Yeah, I think that like some of the thoughts we had early on were just that we didn't want, I guess, our personal names to be attached to the company name.
Right.
Just not really knowing what we would do with it, if it becomes something that we would sell one day, or I don't know what it was, one of us quit, who knows, but we didn't really want to develop something that was totally attached to us personally, name wise. And I think that just provided some flexibility for how we would move in the future. And it has proven to be helpful. Just little simple things though, like, I mean, every construction truck I saw at the time anyways was like white, and had that classic sticker on the door, right in the middle of the driver's and passenger door. And
not that there's anything wrong with
that.
No, just
trying to be.
But it's always good to distinguish yourself.
But everything, like not just like visual things, but we started with basically throwing out every preconceived notion of how you're supposed to do this. Not because we thought we were wise, but probably because we didn't see the value in those things more than anything.
Yeah.
And in a naive fashion, we just like, well, we probably don't need to do that. We probably don't need to do this. And I can remember throwing receipts away left and right, not caring at all, feeling like I was winning.
Right. Yeah.
But what's been good about that is so many of those components have added back in. Like we keep receipts now, and
religiously track them.
Yeah, but it was helpful to like learn why that was so important instead of just assume it was important and later on figure out, why am I even doing this? Again, even things like that, learn from a necessity, like, oh, our CPA is probably going to fire us if we don't quit doing this.
Right.
And like the trucks, everything else was white. So I was like, well, all right, let's have black trucks. And it's really hard to clean those. Well, it doesn't matter. And it's proof to help. Like little simple things like that have helped. Oh, y'all have those black trucks. Yeah. I mean, I've heard that like 1,000 times. And
so when I go see a new job, we go through their scope of work while we're there. And I always ask them, how'd you hear about us? Mm. And, our town's big, but it's not that big. And half the time they say, oh, I see your black trucks around all the time. Yeah. It's like billboard on wheels.
Yeah, it really is. That and
it's worked.
Yard signs and word of mouth is literally all we've ever done.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, actually, kind of on that note, I was at a campsite, and the work truck's there at this nice campsite, and I meet this couple, and they're in the middle of building a house right now. They live like 5 hours from here, but he said, "Man, that's a clean truck. I like how you put the logo down." And I told him kind of the story on that from you guys. He said, "Man, our contractor right now, kind of a bumpy road," and he told me their issues, but he's like, "Yeah, he should have got the warning signs early when he pulled up in a beat up truck, and like, you don't take care of your truck, or you're going to take care of my house."
Yeah.
But he was bragging on the branding in the truck and how it looked good and professional, which all that matters. Yeah. First impressions matter.
They do. And I mean, we'd be lying if we didn't say that we subscribe to the fake it till you make it thing. And it truly, we have some really, really talented, incredible people now. But there were some years early on where we were faking it till we made it. And that's why we really believed that like the look mattered, that you present well and strike that first bit of confidence in a first impression with somebody.
Right.
Yeah. I agree. Like faking it till you make it is fine. But what I think y'all have taken it kind of to the next level. So let's say in those early years, maybe myself or Josh or you, like, we weren't the most incredible like mud work guys or whatever. But what you guys have done is always stand behind your work, and you're not going to leave the job until the customer's completely satisfied.
Yeah.
So, maybe you're faking it until you make it, but you're willing to stay until the very end. You're not going to do something half-hearted or not complete the job in a quality way.
Well, one thing that, like, we might say that with the work stuff, but one thing John and I for sure have always subscribed to is that we care about people, like genuinely. We're both followers of Jesus, and we try to really, in everything we do. I know I've always said, it's kind of become a cliche for me, but what we've always said is you're going to have problems at your job. There's no doubt. You're always going to have problems at the job. There's always going to be things that you can't see. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's all in how you handle those problems. Mm-hmm. It's all in how you handle those problems. And we have preached that to every person that's ever come in the door. It does not matter if they're a field guy or if it's our secretary or project managers. That's a hard thing. It's extremely hard sometimes, but we always want to be able to leave that job and say that we honored the Lord in what we did. Obviously, that's not mostly, it is talking about doing the construction work, but it's also talking about the way we treated them. And of course, we've failed at that before, but that's really is our main goal at the end of the day. It's not to be the best construction guys in town. It's to be the best people in town that represent Jesus. Of course, again, we have failed at that before. There's grace in that. So
yeah. Well, Josh, that's honestly one of my selling points when I meet a new customer. We go through our spill and just kind of get to know them, and I let them know, hey, we will mess up. We're human. We are going to make mistakes, but it's how you honor those things, or it's how you handle those things. We're going to do it right. We're, like you said, you care about people. And so when they ask me, how long have you been with them, that company, I take pride in saying 11 and a half years going on 12 years. And I say, you two guys are different. You just are. You care about people first, job second, the work second. You're here for the people. So I brag on you guys all the time. Just, you guys are men of integrity, and started with y'all before I started a family, and just been a lot of wisdom from y'all and just kind of role models. So it's been really cool, and just kind of doing life with you guys. And we do this construction stuff. You guys have been awesome.
Yeah. All this kind of makes me think about things y'all have said in the past about wanting to see your customers in Walmart or in H-E-B, and like not wanting to like duck around the corner and not encounter them, because you guys have had this mentality of like, all right, when we're done with this job, we want to leave in such a way that like we want to see you guys around town and it's a great experience. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's great to see you again. Like, how's the kitchen? Like we don't want to leave. And I think so y'all prioritize that. And I think you guys have really taught both of us that communication is like super key. So talk to me about like navigating some of those hard things. I know, every manager or construction owner can relate. I know that there's going to be customers that are unhappy with something. Something that's out of your control even can happen, and you're going to have to navigate that and communicate with the customer to just resolve it and try to make it the best you can. Like, do you have a story or just maybe just some advice for people listening and how to navigate those hard situations?
Yeah, I think so much of that, if not nearly all of it, starts with like before you've ever had a problem, preparing a customer for how this thing will work, how this thing will roll out,
right?
What to expect, what not to expect. If you're setting the expectations and doing a good job of informing them, I mean, there's a whole lot of conceptions of how construction will go that are accurate. They're all real negative. They're going to show up late, charge way too much, and they're going to stay longer than they said they would, and they'll be never there on the job, and they'll call me once a month and let me know nothing. Yeah. That's all like really true of our industry. And I've always said that, like, man, that's a low bar. Doing those things right is something like hopefully your folks taught you when you were a little kid. So it's not, those are like such easy markers to get right. And if you're hitting those correctly, you're probably avoiding over 50% of the problems that you're talking about having to encounter to begin with. And then having good people. We have a lady that works for us, Andrea, that has really pushed hard to get communication at a high level to our customers. We've always valued communication. Josh, that's been one of his things, like from the get-go. We've had a rule in place, you guys know, for just daily communication with the customer, to the point where they have to like tell you to quit calling them. Right. Or I don't care. I always say, like, I don't care if you don't have anything to say, like ask them how the weather is over there at their house instead of yours.
Yeah. How's Frank doing?
Yeah. Don't care what it is. Just, they need to hear from you. And if you're doing all those things right, then like, man, over 90% of your problems go away.
Right.
Or then when they do occur, that conversation is way less heated. And I've always said, like, too, if the actions that led you to that tough conversation, if they're defendable, then great. Like, it's an easy situation, defendable from a place of integrity, a place of, we've done this right, we know what we're doing correctly, we've been honest, we've been open, and they still may not be happy, but at least then you can speak to it from an honest standpoint, you know? And then, I mean, sometimes it is just a tough conversation. You can't go around it. You've got to go through it.
You got to own up to your mistakes.
Because like Josh was saying, we'll certainly make mistakes. So just being honest, not trying to like make up stories as to why something happened. And I mean, it's just simple things. So like, just be honest and go through the tough conversation. It's just not fun sometimes, and it will absolutely cost you money, and probably it should in some cases. I mean, it's not like we're always right and the customer's wrong in this situation. Like sometimes we're wrong and we deserve to lose a little here.
Right.
That's just kind of how it is.
Well, let's not get into any stories of how me and Dustin have cost you money throughout the years.
No.
I've never.
I don't have that kind of time.
Okay.
I can't think of any, so
Right?
carry on.
So real quick, there was one other thing I wanted y'all to touch on, and it's related to, y'all talked about how you just care about people, and we were talking about how we care about the customer, but I want to hear a little bit more about, you guys care about your employees. And I would say almost more than anything, like you guys see it as you're responsible for helping provide for their families, and you guys are providing opportunities for guys to earn a living, and ladies. And so talk about that. Talk about, is there anything that you guys have done, any like culture building things or just practical things that y'all do for your employees that you're just like, we think this is why we retain people? Because y'all have really retained some people really well, especially skilled labor. There's a lot of turnover in the industry. What are some of those things?
To me, it goes back to the way that we hire some of the guys that we have. There's some of the guys, maybe not right now, but I don't know, in management that we have hired, not necessarily because they know the most about construction, but because either they have kind of the same mindset that we do, that we're going to treat people right at the end of the day. I mean, and again, we're going to make mistakes, but my knowledge, we have tried to leave everybody well, you know, and maybe they leave with a disagreement, but the guys that we place in management, we try to promote within, we try to hire based on their character, you know, based on the way that they treat people, the way that they interact with customers. And I think having the right people in oversight, I think it's just an easier environment to work, because you know, for at least 50% of people, they're just going to work. You know, they're just trying to make a living and provide for their family, and you don't want to come to an environment, a work environment that's going to be hostile all the time.
Right.
It makes production bad. It makes everything bad. And so if you come in and you're working for someone that's directly above you, that's a jerk all the time, they can be strong-nosed and tell you what to do, but they don't have to be a jerk about it all the time. And we've just always preached that. We're not going to be that kind of company. We're not going to come in and strong arm you, you know, we're not going to cuss you out and do all these things that are unnecessary.
Right.
So we're just trying to make a good work environment.
Yeah, I was going to say atmosphere is awesome where we work. It's not your typical construction office. I have many reasons of why I'm still working for you guys, but yeah, John's not necessarily micromanaging what we do because he trusts us in the role he's put us in. But the guys I work with directly in our office, and really everyone in the office as a whole, we all get along. We're all friends. We all play jokes on each other. We keep it light. All you guys ask is get your work done. And then you check in and make sure we're firing on all cylinders. But atmosphere, and then one other thing I would say is like when someone makes a mistake. So I'll go back to that last topic. There was a big remodel we did, and I ordered all the upstairs doors, like solid core doors, nice doors. And I swore up and down the customer wanted those changed. And I was like, John, I have a text. And we went back to this text months earlier. And I start reading it. And I'm like, I read that wrong. It was on me.
Yeah. But
in that moment, I cost the company a few $1,000s buying the doors and then some labor. We won't do the math on it, but
what's the number for a
you
few?
know, you guys did not yell at me. I mean, that's just not your character. And we talked about it. Hey, how can you learn from this? And don't let it happen again. Just very chill where, you know, I would assume other contractors would just chew you out and maybe I don't have a job. I don't know. Yeah. But that's just one example of just, hey, learn from this, be better.
Yeah.
So
for one, I start with a perspective that, like you mentioned, we help provide, and I actually don't subscribe to that. Like,
Yeah.
Like, I think the right way to think about that is that God is leading our company, truly.
Yeah.
And if we're in tune to that, and like he's showing us a need for this position, that lady or guy comes on, and because we feel secure in hiring that person, they're very much earning their check. Like, y'all are very much providing for your family. It's my job to like make sure that we're hearing from the Lord, you know, and that position is needed. And then that person it's up to them whether they're going to do their job well or not, continue to press really hard or not. That puts me in a position of just being really proud of the people that work for us. In most cases, like, we're like-minded and that we're pursuing the Lord and trying to honor him with our work ethic and what we're doing. And I just think that, like, in my position, having that perspective gives me a little bit of breath to breathe. Quite honestly, my wife really was the one to help me really see it that way. So many other things.
Yeah.
You know, she really helped me take that stress and relieve some of that, understanding that, like, hey, like, I'm not really in charge of this. Like, it's really not my job to like do anything but just hear the Lord, and let's try to honor Jesus with what we're doing here. And honestly, like, it's kind of strange to explain, because like, if my desire truly is to honor the Lord with what we're doing, and that is my passion. That is my desire. Early on in this, we were working on a guy's house, and like, then we're talking like year 3. I think I probably told Josh this, but I just did not want to do this anymore. Like, I thought, this is such a waste of my life, such a waste of time. And I'd come off the heels of traveling, getting to do ministry and whatnot. And not all the time, but in most regards, I had a lot of fulfillment in it. So just feeling like this has real no value other than, you know, providing for my family, which is really great. So let's keep doing this. But at the moment, just thinking, gosh, is this really all there is to this? And I could have taken another job, long story short, but I really it kind of kindled a passion of mine at that moment, not for construction, but for the people.
Yeah.
And at that time, you might have worked for us, maybe. Again, I don't remember dates exactly.
So.
This is Stephen and Jennifer White's house, but maybe he was there.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
But I had no idea that we would have 40 people or more, nor did I like need that to happen. Just the Lord directed my heart's desire for the people that work here.
Right.
And even more so them than the customers we work for. And that's not that I don't care about the customers, but in time, that meant hiring really good people who in turn really do care about our customers a lot. Yeah. And I think about all the men and women that work in the management. They really do. They really do fight and care for our customers. And I wish that, like, on some level, our customers could see that it's genuine, that it's real. And I think that the only way we can prove it is by the end of it, you know, how we've managed to do the job or not. And so it's not to say I don't care about construction at all. Like, it isn't my passion. I don't really have some desire and passion for construction, but I do have a passion and desire for the people, and then for producing a really excellent product, you know, because I think that in turn that's what honors the Lord, is like, let's not go to the work and haphazardly do our jobs here and produce junky products and waste people's money, you know.
Right.
Instead, let's be the best at it. Let's be the absolute best at it, because I think that that's what ultimately honors the Lord. In a roundabout way, I really do believe that makes the men and women that work for us really, really good at what they do, and take some ownership in it. Like, they're providing for their families, and they're doing what they need to do because the Lord's placed them there, hopefully, is the right angle from it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think that's great. It's like you did cover, it's like y'all really covered well. And because I wanted to hear this, like, why are y'all doing this? Not necessarily just what is your why, but I know you guys, both you men, and I know that, like, there's a bigger purpose than like being the best kitchen remodelers in our town. And I think you guys hit it. It's the people, you know, and this is the avenue in which God has put you guys in to bless other people and to influence other people and to honor him. So I think that's great. You guys, thanks for joining us. Yeah. It was awesome. It was great to hear your story. Encouraging for me. Well, thank you guys.
Sure.
Enjoyed it.
Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you guys for watching. We are excited to have you guys along for the ride. Please don't forget, this is sponsored by Timbersite. Go check us out. If you'd like to hear more information about it, we'd love to see if it's a good fit for you. And if you haven't liked, subscribe, comment on the video on all of our socials, we'd really appreciate it. It is definitely going to help us spread the word and just spread our influence. So yeah, man, it was great.
Yeah, it was fun.
I absolutely love doing this with you, and I can't wait till the next one. So we'll see you guys next time.